بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum everyone. It's a pleasure to join you again today from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh Nations, also known as Vancouver, Canada. I've been trying to listen with gratitude to my teachers and my scholars, and I've also noticed that there are other poets amongst us in the crowd. I won't name any names, but I do want to say that I'm incredibly grateful for their work. I think they might know who they are. So just like last time, I'll ask you for a little bit of Zoom participation. If any of the lines that I share today particularly resonate for you, then feel free to share those lines in the chat. I absolutely loved looking at them afterwards last time. I don't think that you can hear the bird song in the rain outside my window, but it was pouring here earlier. And I think I'll start with a fresh poem. I don't usually do this. Usually I wait until I've edited poems multiple times before I share them. But this was a poem that I wrote this morning after Fajr. It's a reflection on the pandemic and the prayer that so many of us begin our days with. Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana ba'da ma amatana wa ilayhi an-nushur. Praise and thanks is to the one that has given us life after giving us death, and to God is our return. Bismillah. These days, it's the sirens that stir you awake. From the depths of morning, their adhan reminds you, prayer is better than sleep. The sun has yet to rise, and these days, the sirens stir you awake. You know they are close when their call comes to a sudden standstill, and your breath catches in your throat, and you think of the labored breathing of your neighbors. You will rise and pray and listen to a city that's no longer a city come alive. The rain will dance against the pavement. The crows will preach incessantly. The songbirds will take turns to praise. And the dogs will bark as if to say, we too want a share of life. Besides the sirens, the cacophony of city is silent. You will prize and you will pray for the one who cried out, their breathing labored, and for the one who answered their call, risking their own breath. And you will give thanks for rain, for breath, for bird song and barking, for sirens that stir you awake. You will give thanks for all these things. You will rise and pray and give thanks for life. The next poem that I want to share is called 1001 Nights. It's a poem of gratitude for the stories, for the narratives, for whatever it is that we use to keep ourselves alive spiritually, internally. If you're not familiar with the story of Shahrazad and King Shahryar, the basic premise is that Shahrazad has to tell King Shahryar a story every night, stories that she intentionally leaves unfinished in order for King Shahryar to spare her life, because he wants to hear the next one. And I love that Simi Khala opened reminding us to face our internal King Shahryar, our internal pharaonic potential, our lower self. And sometimes we despair in the face of King Shahryar, and this poem is a reminder to not only stand up, but it's a reminder to be grateful for the very things that allow us to stand up and to embody our Shahrazadi state. And the last thing that I'll say before I launch into the poem is that the word Khudaya in Farsi, in the Persian language, means Ya Allah. 1001 Nights. Khudaya. Shahryar's inclinations are tyranny. His is an enjoyment of delusion that has brought only destruction upon this earth. And this poor Shahrazad has only the words that you have taught her. Khudaya, it is only the stories that you have gifted that still his hand, that keep crimson roses from blossoming upon this rug. But some nights, this poor Shahrazad forgets the tale that she must tell. and sometimes she loses sight of dawn and cannot hear the nightingale's distant call. Khudaya, to be blind would be beautiful, and deafness a symphony if they were to keep me from partaking in Shahriyar's every whim. He has taken the accursed one as his vizier, and this poor Shahrazad is locked in this palace's clay walls. Khudaya, it is truly when this poor Shahrazad is deceived by her own arrogance that she thinks herself free from Shahriyar's shackles. Khudaya, who is Shahrazad, and who Shahriyar? This kingdom is but an illusion, and this heart is grieved. Should the destroyer of delights, should death find Shahrazad in Shahriyar's arms, it will be the demise of us both, and it will not matter who the storyteller was and who the listener. Khudaya, it was the wise woman who said, if mendicity should be your lot, knock only upon the largest gates. So this poor Shahrazad pleads that you gift her a never-ending tale, so wondrous that it will put an end to these wretched nights of heedless forgetfulness and endless ruin. For this poor Shahrazad has not yet despaired of your infinite mercy. This next poem I chose because so many of us are grateful for this space that all these wonderful sisters have cultivated. There are so many beautiful communities that embody prophetic character, but I wrote this particular poem after visiting an American Muslim community called Wasat in Seattle, Washington. Wasat. How do I light this love in words? What lettered alchemy will turn your hearts as mine was turned? What heartful breath will hold this sacred song in scripture? In what tincture can I distill this medicine? This, he asked me, can you name what this is? And I did not know until I did. This blessed nameless thing cascading spirit into me was every smile and salam, every welcoming embrace, every morsel served, every lesson learned, every opened door, every parting prayer, every prophetic tradition come to life in every beautiful face, in every elder and babe, in every woman and man, in every traveling companion, in every humble host, in every teacher, and in their teachers, and in their teachers' teachers in a lineage that led us to the plains of Alast. Bala Shahidna. How could I anticipate this love, this grief at separation, at departing from this blessed nameless thing that is family, that is ummah, that is wasat, that is all Bismillah al-Wadud. For you who have not visited, for me who will soon forget after having witnessed, and for all our shared tomorrows. Beloved, how do I light this love in words? What lettered alchemy will turn hearts as mine was turned? What heartful breath will hold this sacred song in scripture? In what tincture can I distill this medicine? And for my last poem, I would be deeply mistaken if I shared a poetry set with you today without giving thanks for the blessing of us being women of the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to stand in prayer all night, and when asked by Aisha radiallahu anha as to why, given that he was pardoned by God, he replies, Ya Aisha, afala akunu abdan shakura. Aisha, should I not prove myself to be a thankful servant? And so how could we not be thankful for him and his example and his prayer for intercession for us on the Day of Judgment, saying, Ya ummati, ummati. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. If death is loss of breath, let me die. If death is tragedy asking why, let me die. If death is my name, forgotten, swept aside by the tides of time, let me die. But if death is this soul from his supplication unpenned, Ya Muhyi, Ya Mumit, O giver of life, O giver of death, grant me life until I am well shaded between the Alif of Ummati and the Noon of Ameen. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Allahumma nas'aluka husn al-khatima, Ya Allah. We ask for the best of good endings and that you send peace and blessings upon Sayyidina Muhammad, his family, and his companions. With that, I will leave you. Again, it's been a pleasure joining you today. Thank you so much for allowing me to close out this blessed gathering. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.